Welcome back to Stream of Consciousness. I am Joey, Aces Stout, and this is Joel, Knick-Knack, Paddywhack, Give a Dog a Bone, Cox. And, Joel, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about Cars today.
Cars?
Mm-hmm.
Cars the movie, Owen Wilson.
No, Cars in general.
Cars in general.
We can talk about Cars the movie, too.
We can talk about it, alright.
What did you think about Cars the movie?
You know what? I loved it when it first came out. I think it was one of the best movies. I think it was really one of the first ones. Well, Pixar did it, and it was one of the first movies that Pixar had done that was like... gave them some real teeth.
Yeah.
Made them a very valid company and definitely put... Because I don't think they were with Disney back then. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on any of that. So it gave them a whole lot of traction and made them a company that is now recognized and named. But
then Bailey was born.
Well, no. It came out when Bailey was very little. And he loved the movie too. He loved it so much that I got to watch it over and over and over again a bajillion times. And the first time I was like, wow, what a great movie. It was a really good story. And Larry the Cable Guy as Mater was hilarious. And like it was all this like really good talent. And Owen Wilson's always just fun to listen to in his movies and stuff. He's got a great sense of humor and comedy. The first 7,000 times you watch that movie, and then you don't.
Yeah, that sounds like to me. When I worked at Ames, I worked in the media department.
The what department?
Media.
Okay.
And they would have their ad every 45 minutes.
Oh.
And then they also had a movie that played.
Over and over and over again.
The annexation of Puerto Rico is my favorite scene from The Sandlot. And I got to see it over and over and over again.
How many times do you have to watch Sandlot before you go, you know what, you're killing me, Smalls?
And Babes, Pig in the City.
I didn't want to sit through that one time, let alone multiple times.
I'm glad I didn't play the first Babe, because every time he goes, thou do, pig, thou do, I tear up.
You cry at Babe?
Uh-huh.
It's not like watching Rudy, man. It's Babe.
That will do, pig. That man was so hard. Like, he was like, I don't care about anything. And that'll do, pig. That'll do.
That'll do, pig. I think that's a line from Shrek. That's probably where he got that. Yeah. He says, that'll do, donkey. That'll do.
Mm-hmm. What about Cars? What do you think of the second one?
I like the second one, and it came out right after, personally, in real life, Owen Wilson had some problems, and I believe he had made an attempt to take his own life, which, I don't want to take a downswing on the show, let's keep it a little upbeat, but it was a not great time for him, not only publicly, but also just emotionally, so they geared the story more towards the character Mater, which played by Larry the Cable Guy, or voiced by Larry the Cable Guy.
That makes sense. I didn't know that.
Because that was right after he had all that stuff going on, and he was kind of out of the limelight for a little while because he suffered with some depression and stuff. Mm-hmm. He never wanted to be an actor in the first place. He wanted to be a writer, and he wrote the movie Bottle Rocket, which not a fantastic movie, but for a starting point, for a kickoff, it did well enough for him. But he couldn't. He acted in it because budget. Yeah. It was him and Luke Wilson and some other people that
the Wilson brothers present.
And I don't think Luke Wilson had anything to do with it other than the fact that he acted in it. But so that's how Owen got into acting. Luke, I think, always wanted to be an actor. I don't know and swear that I'm not well educated on the Wilson brothers. But Owen wanted to be a writer and then just kind of fell into that whole acting thing. It just kind of took some.
Well, did you know that Jason Statham was actually a male model?
I did know that. He
Did you know that he never smiled because he didn't like to smile, so he scowled?
That I didn't know.
That's why he got his work. And then he broke into acting.
No kidding. I knew he did modeling before, because his first movie was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrel. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was his first movie, but it was like one of the first movies, and he got a really big part in that movie, based off of never having acted before. He played Turkish. No, he played Bacon. What was his name in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrel?
Oh no, he was Turkish. You're right.
It was Turkish. I thought so.
5 minutes Turkish. 10 minutes Turkish.
Turkish. You like to act. You better die to get it.
Dags? Oh, Dogs.
Like Catavan's more. I think I misquoted that line. But he had done. That's how he got into. He I guess met with Guy Ritchie, and they hit it off really well. And he said, "All right." And he gave him that part, and I think Statham was amazed that he got that part.
I think what got him popular in America was, I can't remember which came first. It was either Transporter or The Italian Job.
I don't remember which one came. I think Transporter was first. I think Italian Job was later.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken.
I'm pretty sure Transporter was first. My buddy and I went to go see that movie. I'm like, what is this movie? This is amazing.
That was it. That's a funny story about Jason Statham and just in general. I used to get Men's Health magazine, and this was whenever Bailey was still real little. Like he was, this is after Cars. But I would get the magazines and I would leave them on the coffee table, and so he would come by and if he saw Jason Statham on the magazine cover, and he's like, "Dad," and I'm like, "No, that's not Dad. That's cut it out, man." You know. So every time he saw a picture of Jason Statham, he would go, "Dad, Dad," and I'm like, and I don't really look like Jason Statham, and I'm kind of glad about that because he's not that great looking of a dude in the face. He's muscly, but he's not a good looking dude. But hey, I was kind of like, yeah, that looks a lot like Dad, right? Because check these out, you know. And then one day, the next issue comes in, or several issues later, or what have you, and Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, is on the cover, and he's got his head shaved, and he's doing his thing, and Bailey goes, "Dad," and I went, "Oh man, you think all bald guys are named Dad? This isn't because I look like Statham. This is because you think all bald cats are named Dad." And I was like, because I don't look like 50 Cent, not by a long shot. Yeah, that's. Kids are crazy that way, though.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, that was whenever he was wee little. He was. Oh, geez, I can't even tell you. He was probably like 3 or 4 at the time. Maybe not even that old. Like he was real little, and now he just turned 13. So I mean, that's how long ago this was.
You know what I love about him being 13?
What's that?
Watching his birthday party, pulled him aside, "Hey Bailey, you're now the age. You don't get a birthday card. You don't get a gift. You now get a gift card. Until you tell me otherwise, it's something you want. You're only going to get gift cards."
He wants a gift card. He wants to be able to spend his money his own way.
Exactly.
He's grown quite a bit, obviously.
Yeah.
He's got a sense of a very strange sense of humor and sarcasm about him now. A few months ago, I occasionally let a bad word slip here and there, and I try not to swear in front of the kids. I try to be healthy about it. But I came in after work, and I think I was just having a rough day, and I walk in, and there's like stuff all over the floor or something, and I truthfully don't even remember what it was, and I think I kind of went like on one of my little dad tangents where I go, "Clean that up, pick this up, why is this here," or whatever, and then I go into the kitchen, and I'm just like gonna relax a little bit. He comes walking in the kitchen, and he takes we have little mason jars on the shelf, and he takes out a mason jar, and he takes a piece of duct tape, and he puts the tape on it, and he grabs a marker, and he writes on it, and he shows me, and it says "Dad's Swear Jar" on the mason jar. And I'm like, I'm still heated right now, because okay, great, you think you're funny, but I think you're kind of a jerk at the moment. And I'm like, I'm not putting any of my hard-earned money in no goddamn jar. And he goes, "So that's $1.
Nice.
I was like, if I wasn't so happy with you right now, I'd be so mad. I'm just too proud to be angry.
But here's the thing, though. He was never sarcastic before. Like, he was your goody two-shoe.
He's still a really good kid, but it's...
But I'm saying he was 110% goody two-shoe.
You know what? No, it's always rattling around in his brain. Like, you don't know it until, like, every so often he lets it slip out. Like, he has a lot of those little moments where, like... Because he's not super outspoken, but I know in the back of his head, he's thinking all these little horrible things. Every time I start talking, I know he's got this commentary running his brain. Like, "Oh, you just wait, old man." Because he's not the... Now, Brody's more vocal, obviously. Brody doesn't have that filter between his brain and his mouth. He just, whatever he feels, whatever's going on, he just says it. He just lets it all out, so...
My all-time favorite was like 2 or 3 years ago. He came in the kitchen. Because usually when you do the birthday parties, you and I hang out in the kitchen, do the food and stuff, and then they do stuff in the living room. So he came to get a chip. I looked him dead in the eye and went... He walks away. He comes back in the kitchen. He looks at her and he goes...
He does that.
And then walks away like, "Where'd you learn that?" I'm like, "That was me."
No more hanging out with Uncle Joel. No more of it. We went for a walk the other day. It was a very nice day. It was beautiful. So I took all the kids for a walk just to get them out of the house because we've been cooped up for a while with the weather being the way it was. Not that we've had a rough winter, but it was like a nice day. So I take the kids out, and we're going for a walk. Now, an onomatopoeia is the word for a noise that a thing makes. Like a dog goes bark, and the pig goes oink, and the cow goes moo.
Mm-hmm.
Birds are a little more tricky, apparently. Birds make all kinds of noises. So Brody decides to start imitating some of the birds that we hear out by the on our way on our walk by his little playground. And he could have went tweet tweet, or he could have went coo 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 coo. But what he did was he said caw, but without the last aw. And he's yelling it to the birds in the middle of like this housing, like you walk through this housing development. There's all these apartments. There's like little old ladies sitting on their back porches sipping their tea, and he's out there screaming the C word at these birds, just yelling at them. And I'm like, dude, stop! And he's like, I'm just talking to the birds, and he just starts yelling it again. And I'm like, no, time out, cut it out, stop. And in my brain, I'm like, how do I handle the situation? Because if he had said, like, hell, I would go, that's a bad word. We don't say that word. And then I explain to him what it means. The C word's not a word I'm explaining to him. I'm just like, let's just stifle this and think of a different thing that we can say instead. So and I was just like, let's just not talk to the birds, because, you know, maybe that's not a thing that we need to do. And he's like, I just wanted to yell back at the birds. And he just starts screaming it again. And I'm like, cut it out. So we don't go back to that park anymore. Yeah, we're not invited in that neighborhood now. Those kids, man, I'll tell you what.
So
yeah, that's
to circle back. Planes. What do you think of planes?
I did not like planes anywhere near as much. Thank you for changing the subject, by the way. Planes compared to Cars, nowhere near as good of a movie. Still a good movie. But not. Dane Cook, and I like Dane Cook. I thought he's had some very funny moments, and he's had some good. I like a lot of his stand up.
Yeah.
But as an actor, he's not really as entertaining.
Yeah.
So I don't really love him enough. But I don't think it was even that. I think the story itself just wasn't it wasn't prepared to hold up to what you expected. After you watch Cars was the first Cars, the storyline was amazing. The second Cars, the storyline wasn't as good, but the action was so good and the humor was so good, and it still had a good storyline, just not as good in my opinion as the first one. Planes kind of like just didn't have any of it. Like it just dropped the ball.
Rescue?
I don't even know if I saw that one, to be honest.
See,
I think I did, but I don't remember.
I like Cars. Cars 2, I don't know how I feel about it. Planes was okay. I like Search and Rescue much better than Planes.
I have to watch it.
Because one of my favorite lines is like they've got a team that goes in, they smother the fire and they control the fire.
Okay.
So there's like these little, it's like I think it's like a little backhoe, a little bobcat thing, and like there's like these like 4 little mini like heavy machinery things.
Okay.
And they're in the plane. The guy goes, "Why do you guys want to jump out of a perfect good plane?" He says, "I don't know. We're not jumping out of a plane. We're jumping out of you." And they fly out of the plane. I thought that one was.
You're amused by like all the kid jokes and stuff. Do you love those things?
I personally think Search and Rescue is better than Planes, but
I try to avoid the kid movies come out, and just because I'm forced into them, that makes me want to watch them less.
I'm very particular about which ones I want to watch.
Yeah, Trolls just came out not too long ago, and that was a good story. It was a fun one. You didn't like it because of the music. I think we just talked about this before. You weren't a huge fan of all this.
At first, I was joking about there's too much singing because I know it's a musical show, a musical thing. But I went to the last kid's birthday party, Bella's.
Yes,
that's
right.
Trolls.
That's right. We were watching. That.
So your in-laws decided, let's watch Trolls, and my wife's best friend. And your family was like...
Our friend Chris, right?
Yeah. Was like, oh, Joe and Joel are like Branch.
Oh, we got pinned as Branch.
Yeah.
We're not grumpy. I mean, we have... It's not that we're grumpy. We are appropriately reacting to the situation of all of those people being insane.
Exactly.
That's not the same as being grumpy.
Exactly.
And I'd like to point out that Branch was pretty much the reason they all lived.
Exactly.
Okay? So, fine.
That's what
I'll
I'm
be
saying.
like Branch. Yeah,
exactly.
I think we win that one.
But the thing is, though, like I'm very particular. Like my wife loves Disney movies, and she loves children's movies. I'm very particular. Like Trolls, I was borderline. If Branch wasn't the way he was, I would not watch that movie.
Yeah, I like Branch being the way he was.
The fact is,
It balanced the movie out
Exactly.
because it was way too overboard. It would have been way too kiddie had he not been in it. Like if there
Yeah.
hadn't been that voice of reason where he
Mhm.
was like, "Stop," because you're gonna, and I don't
Yeah.
want to ruin any of the movie for anybody who might want to still watch it. But
yeah, but like there's someone I'll go like, yeah, I'm not watching that one at all.
yeah,
Because I mean, like, I'm a big kid. I'm not gonna lie, but I like the boy-centric movies, but they don't do that much.
the Wish movies,
The boy-centric, like,
boy-centric movies.
yeah,
Okay,
like Cars. I thought Cars are great. Tara's not a big fan of Cars. Big surprise. There's no princess.
there's well, no, I mean, like I guess I like some of like the Disney movies. A lot of times have a tendency to kind of lean more towards the princess's story.
Yeah.
Like not all of them. You got like Aladdin, and
Yeah.
that follows him, and that was I did like that one. I don't really have. I guess it's because obviously we can't relate as much to
Yeah.
to these teenage girls that are falling in love with the handsome prince. Not really built for quite us.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like a lot of those movies, and I do like a lot of the older ones. Like when you look back to, I mean, Snow White was like really
Yeah.
early on. But even if you look back at some of the earlier Disney movies, the music in section,
Yeah.
a lot of them were. There was a lot more song to
Mhm.
those, and they've
Oh,
kind of weaned that out. And then Trolls really brought that back.
Yeah.
So for as much music that was in that, I still enjoyed that quite a
Yeah.
bit.
For me, like, I liked Oliver and Company. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Oliver and
Yeah.
Company.
Yeah.
I can't even remember Oliver and Company, to be honest.
It
with you.
was
Like I remember of it. but I
Oliver
don't
was a little
remember.
cat. There, Tito was in it. He was a Chihuahua,
Tito Jackson.
and he.
Jermaine.
No, it wasn't him. It was
Tito Jackson.
the Hispanic guy. I can't remember his.
Jackson.
Sure, whatever.
I love that you just gave in. I feel like I won something.
I'll bust the real name later.
Yeah, right up here.
Yeah. But make a note.
Wall of this. This is like this is limbo. This is where dreams go to die. Right here. There's
We'll see about
nothing
that.
will ever actually exist here.
I'll make a note about that too.
All right.
Surprise Joe
Just to be wrong.
with wrongness.
Just keep digging your hole there, Joe.
But yeah, I don't know, like the Princess Moon's okay, I get it. But then like, it comes to back to my pet peeve of, I want to see an action movie. What do those do in an action movie? They add a love interest. Because they want to bring girls in. They want to bring women to see the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. 50 Shades of Grey, there'd be a kung fu scene in there, there'd be a car chase, there'd be explosions. If you want to see that movie, put those in. But no, it's a double standard.
Yeah. No. Right.
Like the romance, they never. Okay, this bomb's gonna go off in 5 seconds. We got 4 seconds to get there. What are we gonna do? Like that doesn't happen in romance movies.
No, it doesn't. You're right. That's kind of a crazy double standard. Now, there's probably a couple movies out there that are like just totally guy centric, and there's no Expendables. You look at Expendables.
Yeah.
Nobody falls in love, as far as I remember.
True,
That movie,
but for the most part,
that's one movie.
Yeah.
But if you look at all of the all the Matthew McConaughey love story,
Mhm.
or, you look at all those type of movies. There's never like. There's not a fight scene. There's nobody jumps off of a building. There's no action. There's no adventure.
because my thing is, I feel like Hollywood messes up movies by trying to bring in a bigger audience. Like, you never had an R-rated. Okay, I know Blade and Spawn are technically R-rated superhero movies,
Okay.
but like Deadpool went balls to the wall R-rated
Yeah.
and made a ton
Yeah,
of money. Now Logan's rated R, but like it's always well if we make it PG-13, we can get more people to come in. How about you make a good movie so people come to see the good movie?
And I think here's where they're goofing up on that one is you make these movies like in that genre, like you make these comic book style-esque movies or things that are based off of X-Men and all this stuff, the different superheroes, and they make them PG because they want these younger kids to come watch them.
Yeah.
But the majority of comic book readers are not the younger kids
Exactly.
anymore. Like when we were kids, we didn't have there was internet, but it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't go on and YouTube stuff, and I mean we're older than YouTube. Like that's a thing that we at one point in time didn't have that.
Yeah.
So we didn't watch videos and movies, and cartoons were only on Saturdays. So for us, comic books was kind of like this escape that we could go down. And back in our day, if you had a comic book, you had to hide it, or else you were getting your butt kicked. Like
Yeah.
you don't talk about that. That was like your secret life you had in your basement when nobody else was looking. Like Star Wars was like the one that everybody was kind of like, oh, we're all
Yeah.
cool with that. Nobody's getting punched in the nose over being a fan of Vader. But if you had a Hulk comic book as a kid, you just kind of like, that's nobody needs to know about that. That's just my thing. Like you hid it, like it was underneath your pillow somewhere, and you never told any of your friends about it because you got bullied for that stuff. But now it's way more acceptable. Now you're allowed to read comic books. You're allowed to be into all that stuff. So they're gearing towards the kids. But the true comic book fans, the people that are going to see these movies, are old fat guys in a stretched out Chewbacca T-shirt, stand in line to get tickets to see the next Captain America movie.
Well, the other thing that bothers me, if you look at comic books, they're like soap operas, but they're craziness.
Yes.
And then some of the stuff should not be for kids.
No.
Like there's some comic books kids should not read. Just like there's some movies kids should not see.
Yeah, there's more than a few.
I remember last year this time, we'll give minus a month, so we'll say 13 months ago, I was livid because there's this kid who wanted to go see Deadpool, and he couldn't go see it because it's rated R. So he had his mom write a petition to make it rated PG-13 so her son
so
could
he
go
could
see
go
it.
see it. No, kid, you just got to wait till you're 18 to go see it, or sneak and watch it like we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
I watched R-rated movies whenever I was a kid. I just waited till my mom was asleep, and then I snuck downstairs and went to school tired the next day. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Behind your parents' backs, kids.
Except for you, Bailey, Brody, Bella, and...
Oh, yeah, because I will catch you. Because I know all the tricks, because I've done all of them. I have no idea. These kids are going to get away with so much. I don't even care. I don't even pay attention to half the stuff my kids do. I just let them run wild. My kids are basically feral. Like, they just do whatever they want. They run around. And all they have to do is not argue. That's it. Sometimes I'm like, I know something is happening, but they're being quiet, so I let it go. Like, that is the compromise that we have.
I see like it's Mission Impossible. Like the kids all have this little thing on their wrists. They're doing something that's like shh. Okay, let's keep on.
Where's Dad? Keep an eye out.
Bella's distracting everybody and everyone else is
right. She's over there going, look at me, everybody. Yeah, and I catch them because in my place, I can sit in my living room and they'll be upstairs in their bedroom, and I can hear them down the stairs, and I can hear them whispering and like don't tell Dad is all I ever catch. And I'm going, oh man, I really should get up and go handle this. But nobody's crying. So, all right. I don't even care what they're doing up there. Just because I know kids are going to do things wrong.
Yeah.
And my kids they're not even doing things wrong in the right way. Like, whenever I was a kid, I was doing stuff wrong. I was stealing cookies out of the cookie jar, and I was crawling out the window to go hang out with my friends. My mom thought I was in bed. I laid in bed one time. I skipped school thinking my mom had to go to work, and she didn't. So I laid in bed just stiff as a board so my bed wouldn't creak at all the entire day. Like, I couldn't leave the bed. Like, I just had to stay in bed the whole day thinking she was going to go off, and she didn't. So I just, for hours, I just laid there going out of my mind because I skipped school. My kids don't even do things like that. Like, everything they do wrong is... They'll open up a Pop-Tart and go, can I have this? And I go, we haven't even had dinner yet. And they go, okay. And then they'll take a bite and put it back. Like, that's the worst thing they do. I'm like, you guys are doing this way wrong. You could be getting away with so much more. If my mom didn't care as much as I don't care, I would have had more kids, probably, is what I would have done. I would have been in so much more trouble. I'd be hooked on drugs or something. All right, what else do we got?
So, since we told us the rest of the time, what was your dream car growing up?
My dream car?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're back to cars again. You know what? I've actually, the car I've always kind of wanted since I was wee little, and every year and make and model of this car, or every year this car has been just awesome, is the Charger, the Dodge Charger. Like, some people really want some big crazy muscle car. I've always wanted a Dodge Charger because of the Dukes of Hazzard. That's where it all started. I wanted the General Lee, and ever since then, every time a new Charger's come out, I don't know cars. I'm so bad with cars. You ask me something about, the origin of Spider-Man, and I could probably ramble on for a little bit, but you go, oh, what about this? And I don't know. I know the Toyota Camry, and I know the Dodge Charger, and those are the only cars I know. Other than that, I can go, that one's pretty, and that's as much as you get out of me.
I'm not a car guy either, but I used to watch a lot of that show called Top Gear, and they do a lot of crazy stuff with cars.
I don't know Top Gear.
And I realized I like foreign cars. I don't like American cars. When I was a kid, I wanted a Lamborghini Countach, because every kid wanted a Lamborghini Countach.
Yeah.
And then, as the years go on, I I like Lamborghinis, but the Bugatti Veyron is my favorite car.
Is that the one with the doors that? That's
No.
not the Gullwing doors.
That's the Moon. That's the DeLorean. That's in my
No.
top
I know
five.
the door. There's another one too that I thought. Okay.
But the
I'm just
Veyron's like $1
writing
million. It's supposedly the fastest car in the world that's like street legal.
No kidding.
So, but
I don't even know. Like, I wouldn't even want the fastest car in the world because, like, my car I know can go faster than I do. I'm driving a Toyota Matrix, and I'm fairly certain I can get it above 90 miles per hour, but I never have.
yeah. Well, I can't drive stick, so that's another reason I can't have my dream car.
Oh, I can teach you how to drive a stick. That's
Sure.
one of the very few things I know how to do. Learning how to drive a stick, I took a job delivering parts for a car company, and I'm not going to say the name of them because I hated that job, and screw them. I was delivering parts in this truck, and so like I go through and there's only like so much training. Here's how you read the paper. You put the parts in the back of the truck. You take them to wherever you have to go. And this is like pre-GPS, so like if I didn't know where I was going, I had to call people and get directions, and I had no clue where I was going because I was too young to really know directions that well. And my mom never drove, so we never really went anywhere. And they'd go, "Do you know where Squirrel Hill is?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "It's Squirrel Hill. Everybody knows where Squirrel Hill is." I have no clue where that is. So how do I get there from here? Like, where are you? And I'm like, "I don't know that either." But I had to deliver parts, and so I go through all this training, and then they're like, "Okay," it wasn't like a ton of training, but then they're like, "Okay, well, go ahead and you're going to take out the first part, and this kid who used to work that did that job before is going to ride with you." So we get in the truck, and I go, I have no clue what I'm doing. I had no idea. So he had to teach me how to drive a stick to learn how to deliver these parts. And I learned how to drive the stick, and I think I had the job for like a week. And the kid was such a jerk to me that I ended up just walking out on the job. I was like, "I quit." And I don't even think I said I quit. I think I just kind of like disappeared, to like figure it out. But that's how I learned how to drive a stick shift was from.
I started learning how to drive my dad's dump truck when he had it. I could go from first gear to reverse, but that was it.
That's if you get in the first gear, the rest is all. It's a breeze.
Mm.
But who taught you how to drive?
My dad.
My mom didn't drive, so for me, like, I had no one really to go to. I got my learner's permit. My sister helped me get a car, and she pretty much got me this car, and it was this old 69 Pontiac Phoenix. This thing was a boat. It was huge, and it was just this piece of crap car, and I loved it. And my buddy, Brian, had learned, his dad taught him how to drive, so he then taught me how to drive. But he wasn't even old enough to teach me how to drive. So like we're riding around, both of us. He had his license. I had my learner's permit. He wasn't old enough for me legally to drive with him. And there were times I just jumped in the car and like took it back and forth places, just drove and just kind of learned more or less on my own. But he did most of the teaching of me on this one. But that's how I learned how to drive. And like I think that I'm a good driver now, but I have really nothing to base that off of. I haven't hit too many things, so I win because I've been driving for a long time. So I've never killed anybody. I call that a win.
Yep.
That's how you gauge that apparently.
I was going to ask what was your first car, but you already answered that.
Pontiac Phoenix.
My
It had an AM radio, and the only thing I can get in was the oldie station. So I would listen to the oldie station all day long, and I used to love when Electric Avenue would come on. I would crank it up. That was my jam. I would be driving because you have to have something going on, and I'm just driving, and then just go, "Oh God, it's another doo up doo be doo," whatever song, and then Electric Avenue would come on, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like cranks. I'm 18 years old driving around, and windows rolled down. It had a huge bench seat because way back in the day there wasn't separate seats for the driver and the passenger. It was just one seat for everybody, and I think it had like 3 seat belts running. I don't even know if it had seat belts, honestly. I think they were tucked in. Seat belts used to go just across your lap too. I don't even think it had like a pull across the chest one. That's how safe this car was. And to get the seat to move back or forward, you had to reach. There was the lever underneath. You'd reach underneath, but you couldn't move it on your own. So you had to have somebody else in the passenger seat. I'd have to call up one of my buddies every time that I'd have to move my seat. I'd go, "Hey man," and you'd have to get it, and we'd have to move it. And I wasn't tall enough for it to be all the way back, but I was too tall for it to be all the way forward. So you had to kind of find this middle spot. But when you pulled it, it was either all the way back or it was all the way forward. Like to get it in the middle took like 17 tries to get it there. So
My first car was a 1983 AMC Eagle.
An 83. That's, my car was older than me.
Thing
so.
was a tank.
You had an Eagle again after that, didn't you?
I had a Summit.
Didn't you have an Eagle like in college or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a Summit. That was a mid-sized wagon.
I remember that. That was because you. Well, we got all kinds of stories. I'm not even going to get into those ones because we do have to wrap this up.
Yes, we do.
So thanks again for joining us.
Like,
And
subscribe,
all up in here,
Facebook, Twitter,
or there,
website,
etc.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You know the drill.
Streamofconsciousnesspodcast.com.
And write in.